All right. So we're here tonight with Teresa, and Teresa is from Ohio. We're going to talk about the Terahertz Wand, the 7.0 Terahertz Wand. And Teresa, you just got the Terahertz Wand, I guess, what, in the last few weeks,
Yeah,
month?
it's been a couple weeks or maybe a week and a half or so. Yeah.
Year and
Yeah.
a half. Okay. And so
hmm
I know you're going to use it for both you and your husband. So do you want to go ahead and just talk a little bit about the Terahertz Wand and kind of what your feelings on it are and how it's working for you and your husband?
Yeah. So I'm using it, twice a day, 30 minutes each time. And I started off using it for me like I initially and using it more closer to the skin because it's not as
Hmm.
hot. Um, I'm, dealing with a just a breast tumor, not just, but yeah, pretty serious. Um, but I'm also, working it through the lymph node area. And my husband, he's using it for severe arthritis. I mean, he's been diagnosed with rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. He actually had um, a hip resurfacing done about, I want to say maybe 5 years ago. He had that done. Um, but the rheumatoid arthritis is what's really been an issue for him. He works outdoors in the element. Um, so he's always moving. And especially when he starts back in the spring, he's really, hitting it hard and he's really feeling it. But he's doing amazing right now. I mean, he can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he gets up every morning. He's using the wand. We call it the magic wand because
That's
it's,
awesome.
it's our little joke. But he's really noticing a difference. At first he was skeptical, but then he said, I was like, well, just keep going. You'll notice. And sure enough, he did. And now he comes home from work. After he'll have dinner, he'll sit down, he'll wand himself. And yeah, he's just feeling all around better. And I think he's almost like in a state of disbelief. So we're really trying to get a better understanding of energy medicine. So
Yes.
yeah, it's truly really good. Yep.
That's super exciting. And the thing about it, especially with your husband, is that, he has a job where he has to physically be active. So,
Yeah.
when your body is not, cooperating and you've got a lot of pain and discomfort, it's hard enough, just going to a desk and sitting at a desk every day. But when you're on your feet all day and working out in the elements, like you said, you
hmm
know, not being in pain and discomfort is actually even more important.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. He's 60 years old. So, and he has a landscaping business and he's been working this business since his, 20s, so he's been doing this day in and day out for many years. And it's been getting harder for him, but he enjoys the work. He loves
Yeah.
being outdoors and it's seasonal. So, I mean, we're in Ohio, so he's usually working April through November. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's like, I don't know if I'll be able to continue doing this if I'm in this much pain as I'm getting older. And,
Hmm.
so he's seeing definite improvement. And I asked him last night, I said, so if you had to, give me a percentage of where you're at. Now, mind you, he hasn't even been doing this for 30 days yet. So,
Hmm.
but he told me last night, he said, I would say I'm about 60% better already.
Wow,
And
60%
he's
better.
60% improvement, feeling,
Wow.
60%. That's the number he gave me when I just asked him. And he's feeling he feels it's very promising. He's learning more about, just the whole scalar energy concept. And,
Hmm.
we find ourselves sitting around watching Nikola Tesla documentaries just to
I
get a
think you
better
actually told me
understanding
about a
of.
documentary you saw on the History Channel that I need to watch.
Yeah, yeah, the Tesla series. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. It's pretty awesome that his work is coming to fruition now, and
Hmm.
I'm sure it's been there in many different ways, but for healing modalities, it's truly a gift.
Yeah. So what parts of the body was he having the discomfort in? Is it like his back, and is it multiple
No,
places?
not so much his back. We called it, it's funny because we call his joint pain traveling arthritis,
Mm.
because it would be one day it could be in the foot, another day could be in the knee, another day could be in his pinky finger. Yeah, and then sometimes his shoulder, his elbow, his wrist. So it's traveling. It just travels. So whenever if he comes home and he has any sort of discomfort, it's, first of all, if he does have any, it's much, much more subtle than it was when he first. I mean, I wish I would have videotaped him when he, maybe about a month ago, when he would be coming home and he would walk in the door and he can barely walk, and I can just
Wow.
tell. And my heart would just break, and I'm thinking, how much longer is he going to be able to, live like this or put up with this? Um, so since he started using the wand, it's clearly been improving, because he went from being Mr. Skeptical to suddenly getting up, getting to the couch. I mean, he's a routine person. So if he
Yeah.
notices something that works, he will make it. He's very good with dedicating a routine to it. And I
Hmm.
just observe, I'm just the wife who's watching in the
Yeah.
background, because, I try not to ask him, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Other than, once in a while, just to get an update.
Yeah.
Because he's naturally skeptical. He's just a skeptic at heart, but it's so fun to see that skepticism drop off, just kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm so happy you took the time to do the call because, well, first off, I have to say that I talk to a lot of really amazing women like you who are out there doing the research and saying, what can I do to help my family, right? What can I do to
hmm
help my husband? What can I do to
hmm
help my daughter? Like I
yeah.
talk to so many women that are just, I mean, just amazing people. And, you know, you're open and we've had many conversations and you're very
hmm
well versed on technology, what's out there, what's going on in the world.
hmm
And even if other people aren't, it's okay because that's why this call is so important. It's like we could sit here and talk about what is scalar energy. We could talk about what are the benefits of far infrared. We could talk about what are the benefits of quartz crystal and the terahertz frequency, because the terahertz wands have like you mentioned earlier, the scalar energy, they've got the far infrared, they have all this technology. And,
hmm
for most of the people out there, it's like, even myself up to a couple of years ago, I've heard the terms, but I have no idea what it really translates into as far as what that really means on how it's working with my body. But when you just say, look, here's a terahertz wand, try it, and you get somebody like your husband who, is probably going to take the approach of like, I'll believe it when I feel it, right? You not
hmm
even see it. I'll believe it when I feel it.
right.
And then, he's had it for a week and a half, not even 2 weeks, and he's already seeing these kinds of results. Um,
hmm
that's
hmm
what's really important. That's why I greatly appreciate you taking the time to just get on there, because people
yeah.
don't necessarily want to hear from me and listen to all the tech talk. They just want to know,
Right.
hey, I'm kind of like that person in the video. I've got a lot of pain. I'm sore. I'm on my feet all day, or what it is. I've talked to nurses. I've talked to people in every type of professional background, but
hmm
it's resonating with everyday people. And especially, I think the best part is people that are somewhat skeptical when they first hear about it, because it
hmm
does kind of sound like hocus pocus. What the heck is this? And
yeah.
you're holding this little small device that's throwing off a blue light, and it's like, what is this?
Right.
um the funny thing
Right.
about it, though, that I find kind of interesting is that it does kind of tie into, like, I always tie it into like Star Wars, because
hmm
it almost looks
yeah.
like something. And in our age group, we would say Star Trek. For younger people, would probably say Star Wars. But it does kind of tie into that technology. And
Mm-hmm.
then to think that you've got all these brilliant scientists like Tesla and all these people that were working on stuff like this 100
Yeah.
years ago with scalar energy,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it's actually finally getting out to the general public and it's in a little compact versional form that's handheld, that's not very heavy. I mean, it weighs like less than a pound, maybe a pound and a half.
Mm-hmm.
um, all those things combined kind of make it kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and go ahead.
My son, it's funny because my son has allergies, springtime allergies, and he lives at home. And he came home today. He works with my husband, and he came home. So he's out there with Colin and everything flying around. And he came in the house because we did use the wand on him one time. And the next day he didn't have any issues with any allergies. So, but he only did it one time. So he came, and then a few days after that, it wasn't as bad. His allergies were not nearly as bad. And then today he came home. Now he has not used the wand in probably a week. He tried it when we first got it. So he came home today and he's like, he went to the couch and he turned the wand on, he got his water ready. He wanted the water. He drank,
That's
about
awesome.
12 ounces. And then he just sat down. He was very diligent doing all of his meridian points and everything. And I looked at him and I said, wow, I'm glad that you're doing this. He goes, yeah, today wasn't a very good day for my allergies. So he remembers how he felt when he did it the first time. And I said, well, Nick, if you're consistent with it, if you show some consistency, you're probably not going to have any issues with your allergies, So he noticed just from one time how much it had helped him. So he took it upon himself to just, hop on the couch and wand himself tonight anyway. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great device. I mean, if this is what, when I first got it, I thought, oh, it kind of looks like a hair dryer,
It
but
does.
just,
Yeah.
just not as wide of a barrel. But, when I told my husband about it, like I said, he was a little skeptical, but then you just got to keep with it. Like that's what I would just tell, my kids. My other daughter, she also did it one time. My other daughter, I'm telling her about it. My father has kidney stone issues. My mother has sciatica issues. So I'm telling a lot of people about this. My sister-in-law has one failed kidney and kidney stones in the other kidney all the time. I mean, so we're constantly, I'm trying to find a way where I can explain this to people, because that's where, this is not normal, everyday medicinal instruments. So it's like you have to kind of rehearse almost in a way, like, how do you explain something like this to people,
You do. Yeah, the funny thing is, I remember when I first saw it and I saw the first presentation, I went, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable! I got to get one of these things." And then I was telling people about it, like, "Well, what does it do?" And I'm like, I'm not sure, but just watch this video." And I did that for probably the first 2 or 3 weeks because it was such a large data drop of information. And none of it is stuff that, that we grew up with listening to as kids. None of this technology, even though it was all around us, we really didn't know much about it. And it probably wasn't even all that more as much developed for, people in the general public. But I literally took it upon myself like I was going back to school. And I said, all right, I got to start taking notes. I got to start writing this stuff down. I need to Google, what is this? I need to get all this. And then I just listen to these videos over and over and over. And then honestly, every time I presented the information, like to my mom, my family, very much like you, because the first people you want to help when you get the technology are your close friends and loved ones, right? So they're always the ones. It's like, hey, this thing's amazing, you're gonna love it. But then it comes down to what is it going to do? And so, through repetition and through doing all that. But I do want to circle back and talk about a couple quick things that you brought up. First off, how do you use a terahertz wand? Very important. You're doing all the right things first off. So you're doing, like with your son, hitting the meridian points, even for your husband, when you got all that traveling pain
Mm-hmm.
and that soreness, when you hit the meridian points, you're basically sending energy through all your electrical wiring, which is probably the easiest way to put it. We're all electrical beings. We have all these neural pathways that are basically electrically, they're electrical connections. And so that wand is equal to 10 hours of acupuncture, the amount of energy it sends through your body. 1 hour of the wand is equal to 10 hours of acupuncture. And so when you start off basically charging, it's almost like turning on the car and letting it run for 5 minutes. Now, if you're in Ohio and it's 30 below, you're probably going to let it run for 10 or 15 minutes, but you're getting the circulation moving, you're starting to get the energy in the body moving. And so drinking the water, super important. I always tell people I was very lackadaisical about that when I first started. I kind of thought, I'll get to it, whatever. I'm on the couch and I'm honestly just being lazy. That's the only thing I can really say. But over the time of selling these things over the last 2 years, I have learned that people that are using it and drinking the water are getting much better results much quicker. And so, and there's a gal named Melody who's one of the customers that's kind of done some calls with me, and she's got a background in the medical industry. And we had a few people when our call came on that contacted her and said, "Hey, you know what? I don't really think that I'm getting the results that you were getting. Why not?" And so she went in and broke down what they were doing and what they weren't doing. And they weren't doing the little things. They weren't drinking the water before and drinking the water after. And they were not basically warming up the body and using it on the meridians. And so, the palms of the hand, the bottoms of the feet. Melody's testimonial, which is on our YouTube channel, she had a really bad sinus infection. She had it for about 10 days. And when she started using the wand on her feet, all of the congestion basically drained completely out before she even got the wand up to where the congestion was actually at. That is the power of basically getting into those pressure points, all that reflexology. It does tie into Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, because the Chinese are brilliant when it comes to the body, the meridians, the pathways, the electrical circuitry that we have in our body. They're masters of it. That's thousands of years of science that they've had where they know exactly where all these things are at. And you literally have hundreds of these acupuncture points in your feet. And so it's very easy to reach internal organs. It's very easy to reach different parts of the body through these electrical pathways, which are in the hands, feet, even the ears, and different parts. So when you're looking at using the wand, your son is doing all the right things.
Yeah.
So, that was the first thing I wanted to bring up. The second thing I wanted to bring up is, your concept is absolutely 100% right on when you say it's more about consistency of use and duration. Now, nothing makes me happier than to hear stories where your husband and your son and even yourself are seeing real benefits from using the terahertz wand within a very short period of time. And I think that's phenomenal. But, but as your husband uses it longer, there'll be, you'll keep seeing it get better. I mean, theoretically, with Tesla and Lakovsky and Rife and all these guys, their protocols never went less than 90 days. So, it's really a marathon, not a sprint. But obviously, you want to get out of that pain as much as you can. So, you got out of 60% in the first week and a half. Maybe it takes another week and a half to get out of the next 20, and maybe it's another 30 or 60 days to get out of the last 10. But it's the consistency of use and now making it part of your lifestyle and making it part of your daily routine. Because, the thing about it, Therese, that's kind of interesting is we talk about all these situations where people are having a lot of discomfort, right? But I think the most important thing is maintaining good health, right? And doing it to maintain good health and keeping it as part of your routine so that even if you don't have a lot of pain, you're still using. I use it a lot for mouth, teeth, gums. I've taken a lot of wrinkles out of my face. I'm 57. I could probably use it tonight because I'm a little bit sore from working out earlier, but whether you have stiffness or soreness or you don't, get it into your routine. It's a lot of people have been having it for thickening of hair, obviously,
Hmm.
women and men both. So there's just so many different things that this technology can be applied to. So
Hmm.
thank you so much for
Hmm.
all of this amazing feedback, right?
Yeah.
Because it's real people talking about real situations, and
Hmm.
it inspires me, honestly. It inspires me because I want to know when I wake up in the morning that I'm doing something that's making a difference. I want
Yeah.
to know that when I'm sitting and talking to you and you're coming to me saying, hey, how am I going to help my family? That
Hmm.
I'm figuring out what stuff is out there and what really works and what is really going to be the best technology for the best
Hmm.
health issue.
Yeah.
And you got the watches today, so the sound frequency watches, amazing. Kidney stones, all
Yeah.
that, it'll be great. But
Hmm.
I want to find the products that have the greatest benefit and the greatest value. And honestly, I want to try to find the ones that are going to do it for the least amount of money,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot of expensive technology out there. I don't always necessarily think that more expensive is better. I think
Hmm.
that, certain technologies, like especially with what your husband is, and, there's a lot of technology out there that you can get that's going to be in a lower price point than what
Hmm.
somebody else might be offering at a higher price point.
Hmm.
And I never want to say anything negative about any technology, because all of it is going to have benefit. So it's
Yeah.
not that I'm saying, well, that's not good and this one, it's all good. But
Hmm.
let's start getting the stuff that's the most affordable into the routine first. And if you
Right.
have the ability to go and get stuff that's more expensive, that's fantastic. But,
Hmm.
the other thing that I'm going to say, and then I'll let you finish, is that ultimately you want to layer technology into your household, right? So you start off with the wands. Um, You've got the plasma energy spheres coming. We're going to start talking more about nutrition, because I had a
Hmm.
call today with a lady, and there's a lot of foods that we're eating that are causing a lot of inflammation in the body. And when your
Hmm.
body's taking in and eating certain foods and it causes a lot of inflammation, it's sort of counteracting what the wand is doing. So yeah, the wand is doing great things, but if we're eating things that are causing a lot of inflammation, you're basically just trying to tread water at that point. You're not
Right.
necessarily going to see the same results if you can get everything in motion, if you can get the grounding technology, if you can get,
Hmm.
the wand, all these different things. And you're basically living proof of all this. So I will say
Hmm.
that this is probably not going to be our last call. Well, I'm sure we're going to be doing more
Oh
as we
yeah.
go, because I want to follow up with you on some of the other stuff that we're doing. But
Yep. Yeah.
you are super well versed. You're looking out for your family. That you're seeing benefits, and it's
Yeah.
always funny to me when you're
Yeah.
introducing it and you know what's going on, but you're introducing it to people that are kind of like, "Hey, what the
I,
heck is this thing?"
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of, for me, I mean, I've been down this rabbit hole for about 10 years since I was diagnosed with breast cancer 10 years ago. And I didn't have them do anything to me. I walked away from conventional everything. No surgery, radiation, chemo. The first thing that I did, first and foremost, was change my diet. I just changed and I went full blown plant based. I was juicing about 60 ounces of green juice a day. And I mean, I actually went through more than one juicer for how much juicing I did. Everything had to be organic. And I'm still like that today. I just don't juice as much. And for what I'm dealing with now, I think is more like residual. I think it's more of a scarring tissue, but I
Hmm.
do think like some things need to be cleaned up in my lymphatics, and that's why I'm using the Terahertz wand directly. And I like the low setting because I like to keep it right up to the skin. I
Hmm.
want that blue light just permeating through the skin, and from what I understand, it actually goes in, I don't know how many layers down to the bone, from what.
It goes right through. It goes about 8 inches into the body.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and I will tell you, I mean, there were times when and this would happen periodically at nighttime when I'm sleeping, I would feel like this jabbing. It almost felt like needles. Someone was poking me with a needle in my armpit area. And since I've been doing this, I have not felt that at all. And I know what I'm dealing with here on my breast. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a
Hmm.
while to clear up, to fully heal. But that's why I ended up buying another Terahertz wand. And now we'll have two because my husband and my son were fighting over who gets it first. So yeah, we need to have two. And then I did get the watches, and I can't wait to explain that to my
Yeah.
dad, who is 79 years old, and he has issues with kidney stones all the time. I also explained to him, I said, I have these plasma spheres coming to the house. I want you to come over, get in this frequency. But I think the the watch is probably really going to be good for him, because then he has
Hmm.
it. He'll have it on him. He can wear it.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing stuff. And you know, being in this world of, I have given up on conventional medicine for the most part, um, unless it's a last resort, for
Hmm.
whatever reason. But I mean, I could have, I could have influenced my husband. You know what? You need to go in. You need to get on, some sort of medication for this, because your father had this really bad. Your grandmother had this really, really bad. I mean, so there is a genetic disposition, but I also believe in epigenetics. So the body will, depending on the environment that the cells are living in, your body's going to respond according to that. But if you
Hmm.
give your body 100% all the time, good food, alkaline based foods, and you're keeping the acid away, your body will respond that way also. But at the same time, I think there's also blockages that could prevent the body from healing. And if the body doesn't have those clear channels, those clear
Hmm.
pathways, there's going to be
Hmm.
backup. I mean, just think
Yeah.
about it. It's kind of like a piping in your home. I mean, if you don't clear the drainage lines, you're going to have issues, and it's going to
Yeah.
come out one way or another. So the terahertz, it's clearing those channels. It's clearing those areas of clogged energy, or clogged cellular debris, or whatever it could be that the body's
Yeah.
trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a transition. I would say if anybody out there is, thinking about this, it is very different. It's very different from what we've been conditioned to believe that medicine is. We need to really open up our minds a little more and think outside of the realm of pharmakia, and
Hmm.
really, look into. For me, when I make these revelations, when I come across these revelations of these paths that I need to be on, I ask myself, how did this come about? Like, so I needed to know more about who Nikola Tesla was. I had to
Hmm.
know, because that helped me better understand why this works today. I mean, why? Because they don't teach you this in school. They don't teach you this
Hmm.
in college. I mean, they don't
Hmm.
teach, they train you and condition you to believe what they want you to believe. But the
Right.
real truth comes out when you start going off the beaten path, and you start trying
Hmm.
things that are not so, conventional, or goes against the norm. And I've always been that person to walk against the crowd instead of with the crowd. So it's been working out pretty well so far, and it's kept my husband away from seeing, I don't even know what they're called, rheumatoid arthritis doctors. I even know what they're
Yeah.
called. But I'm thinking to myself, I don't want you to be on all these medications, because that's all they'll do. And it's
Yeah.
all it is a band-aid. I mean, if it
Hmm.
really worked, then you wouldn't need the medication. You would only need it for a short period of time. But they put you on
Right.
these drugs, and they keep you on them, and it comes with all these side effects. And next thing you know, you can have a stroke, or a heart attack, or an aneurysm, or whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
comes with a heavy price tag. So
It does.
Yeah. But this has been a true blessing so far for him. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
for me, I'm continuous work in progress. Mine will take a little longer, but I'm so glad to see his fairly instantaneous results is what it seems like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure for your husband, it's a lot easier going to work in the morning when you feel better. It's a lot easier to go about your daily routine when your body doesn't ache and is so sore. And as you're
Hmm.
noticing, you're feeling a lot better when you get home because it didn't just crush you to have to be out there on your feet working all day. I mean,
Right,
um,
right. Yeah. And he
I
also
had,
said,
go ahead.
oh, he also said, you know, he will definitely hop on and do a test when he's feeling more of 100, when he gets to that point of close to 100% improvement. So that's why I can't wait to get the plasma spheres and get him to wear, the watch and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, and you got the Purium, you got the Purium, the holistic, the super nutrient dense foods stuff. You've got all that. I mean, you're coming in at every angle, at every level, and it's going to be a
yeah.
very healthy family.
Yeah.
There's two things I want to say, and then I'll let you finish, and we'll sign off. But first
Hmm.
off, the thing I love is that this is multi-generational stuff, right? You've got your son, he's loving it,
Hmm.
he's using it. You've
Yeah.
got you and your husband, you're using it. Now we're going to get your dad and get the older generation involved. So we got the
Yeah.
young people, the middle-aged people, and the older people all
Yep.
finding uses for the technology, which I think is absolutely amazing. I
Hmm.
love that. It makes me so happy because I really do feel that there is a lot of use for this. Even with young kids and that, if they get the flu, I know a lot of times people have used it on their throat and they've had sore throats and they've had sinus infections. It's really good for a lot of that. People use it a lot also for
Hmm.
headaches, and everybody gets those from one time to another.
Yep.
Um, and then what you also said about the lymphatic system, um, there's just so much toxicity in our environment these days when it comes to food, water, air. It just
Mhm.
it's just the nature of the world that we're living in, and obviously the lymph nodes and a lot of these areas of the body are collecting and in picking up a lot of that. So
Mhm.
just for daily maintenance, to use it for maybe even just say 5 minutes on the lymph nodes and on the thyroid and different parts of the body, just to keep that flow moving, to keep that energy moving, to keep to give them a little bit of a boost, to say, look, here's a little extra energy so you can go do your thing and tackle some of the stuff that's coming through. Because in this day and
Mhm.
age right now, we're certainly seeing things coming into the body and in our environment that are not things that people were dealing with 100 years ago. So
Yeah, yeah,
with those,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, we're being beaten down pretty bad with, I mean, everything, and things that we don't even think about on a daily basis.
Hmm.
If it's a rainy day and you put the raincoat on and you're, outside, that raincoat that's water repellent is loaded with chemicals that is extremely toxic to the body. I mean, the car, the new car smell. I mean, all of these things that are just, we're inundated with things that we wear on our bodies. Clothing is also just another toxic breeding ground. Detergents that we use, things that we use in our home for our floors and for washing dishes. I mean, there's so many things that we're being inundated with chemicals that it truly is like a chemical soup that
It is.
we're living in, and
It
then you have the
is.
Wi-Fi and the 5G and all that stuff, and it's like we need as much protection that we can get because you know the body can only take so much before it starts
Yeah.
breaking down.
Exactly, exactly. And so, when you start giving the body what it needs on a cellular level with energy-based technology, with good food, super dense, nutrient dense food,
Hmm.
all these different things, you're really helping to kind of give the body a little bit of a jump start or give it a little bit of assistance to really, go out there, because the body naturally wants to be perfect. It wants to be in homeostasis where everything's good, everything's
Hmm.
operating, perfectly. But it's a combination of lack of nutrients, lack of good foods and all those things. And then all the things that you just mentioned, that when it's not in place, it starts to break down. I don't know the exact number. I know it's in the trillions of cells, every one of those cells literally performing thousands of functions. And those little cells are sending messages to the brain saying, send these nutrients down here to me. I got some work to do. I need these nutrients to do my job. And we're not really getting that when we hit a fast food restaurant. We're not really getting that when we throw, frozen pizza in the oven. We're not really getting that, with a lot of the foods we
Yep.
eat. So as I get more involved in the technology and I understand more about the technology, like we talked yesterday or the day before, I am also really understanding that it's certain things that we don't eat that are important, and there's certain things that we need to eat that we got to get in our body that are going to help, this process along. So,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm. Yeah.
thank you so much for all the feedback. And thank you so much for all this information as well. So, Teresa, before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to kind of finish up tonight?
Um, well, I know this won't be the last time we talk. I mean, I'd love to come
Right.
back and give another update in the near future. Just keep plugging. But I would just say, I mean, this has been such, and in my opinion, for our household, a miracle medicine almost. I would really call it like a miracle medicine. And it, and just for my husband, we've tried multiple things for him. And we tried, I don't know if you've heard of QC Kinetics, but they
Mhm.
advertise on the radio, and they're like they have centers. But I'll tell you, very disappointing, because they really harped on how, it's sort of like where they take your stem cells and re-inject it and blah blah blah. They run through this, and it sounded great, but it did nothing for him. Absolutely nothing. And it was very expensive. And this, wand, because that's the only device we have here in our home right now, is the Terahertz Wand. I mean, for it to actually turn things around for him, and in less than 2 weeks, and he's feeling 60% better already. I mean, that speaks volumes. So if anybody's thinking about this, I would say do it. Just invest and, do what you need to do, and just purchase one of these, and you'll see for yourself. Just be dedicated to it and use it. But I have no regrets. No regrets. That's why I had to buy my own.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to share it anymore.
That's right. You two can take this one. Mom's getting her own. You guys stay
Yeah,
in the living room. I got mine. You got yours.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
I know that we'll probably end up seeing more of these because the funny thing is 20% of the sales that we do are from people like you that got one. And then it's like, you know what, my mom could use one. You know what, maybe my dad could use one, or my
yeah,
sister, the whole thing. And then you start realizing, wow, these things have so many applications. There's so many people that I really know that could probably benefit from it. And
yeah,
so, but it
yeah.
always starts with the first person, which is you, that says, well, I'm gonna get this and we're gonna see how well this really works. And then all of a sudden, wow, it is actually working. And
Hmm.
so, okay, great. I'm the test subject. I'm showing that it's working here with my family. So now that everybody's wondering why my husband feels so much better, you need one mom, you need one sis, the whole thing. So
Yeah, yeah. Great stocking stuffers, probably, think about that, or a
yeah,
Christmas gift, or,
yeah,
I mean, and they're very affordable. I mean, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong
yeah.
with it. And the results that people will see with it, I think, is just amazing. I like going through your videos and just listening to the other testimonials, because it feels so good, to hear
It
that from
does.
other people, especially the one man that you sent me yesterday. Oh my gosh, he brought tears to my eyes. Just,
Yeah.
and that, watching his video made me think about my neighbor next door, because she has MS, and I really, really want to introduce this to her. I don't talk to her very much, but I think I'm going to be paying a visit soon.
Yeah. Kirk is a real inspiration. I need to get Kirk back on here. Kirk actually has some products that he's going to start promoting. And I told him, dude, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help promote those products that you've got on my channel. You come on anytime you want, and I'm going to put you on and you talk about anything you want. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have Kirk back on. He's just, that guy is, I mean, you saw the call. I mean, it's hard not to even start wanting to break down and start crying, even
Yeah.
after not seeing it for a month and a half. And I
Mm-hmm.
told you, I
Mm-hmm.
said, God, I could have edited that out of the video, but it was
Yeah.
just so like it was like, oh my gosh,
You
man.
got to
It's just
keep
if
it.
I
Yeah.
told him
Keep that in
keep
there
it real,
because,
but and
yeah.
I
Mhm.
but I mean, God, it's like you heard that video. It's like if I did one thing in my life before I dropped over dead, and I know that I helped that guy, I'm good. Like I'm good
Mhm.
from here on out.
Yep.
Teresa, you're two, so now I got two people that I help, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
My
You know what I
husband
mean?
watched
But
that. I watched it yesterday and this morning while my husband was on the couch wanding himself before he left for work. We were watching that again. I had him watch it, and he was just like, wow, just listening to, what that man went through. And I said, yours is a walk in the park compared to what, he went through, with his
yeah.
pain. And I mean, fusing bones together. I mean, oh, just, I felt the pain, just from him talking.
He's mentally so strong. He's overcome so much, and he was told all of us, oh, you'll never do this and you never do
Right.
that, and he just never bought into it. He was so mentally strong that he pushed through it. And even though he kept getting hit on his bike, he still kept going out and riding that bike. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, Kirk,
I
if I
know.
had anything ever I was going to complain about, I'm shutting up because I got nothing to complain about. Like, if that's
Right.
not going to humble you down and just put you to a
Hmm.
reality, I
Yeah.
mean, that guy is I just can't say enough good things about that guy. I really do love him
Yeah.
because that message that he put out there was so powerful, and it really was a wake-up call for anybody that's out there that thinks, and that's not taking anything away from people that are really like your husband and experience a lot of pain. It's just really
Mhm.
saying it could have gotten a lot worse. It could have been at a whole nother level.
Right.
And
Right.
just be grateful that as bad as it is, that it's not as bad as where Kirk was. But
Hmm.
but the fact that he's gotten so much better and seen so much benefit from this, honestly, is just
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I'm still dabbling in the medical industry. I still do stuff in the medical industry, but I'll never this is my life, this is my passion, and
Yeah. This is going to be, I mean, we are on the cutting edge, I think, with the taking off of this technology in the medical
yes.
field. And I think it's just going to make a huge, huge paradigm shift in humanity as far as how they actually receive medical attention and where they receive it. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to have to go into a doctor's office anymore. I mean, they can do
Right.
this at home. There's going to be so many different modalities that are popping up between, the wands, the plasma. I mean, on your website alone, you have enough stuff on there. I haven't even gone through everything. I know we were joking the other day, and I said I'm starting my collection. So, I mean, now I have two wands, three watches I ordered, the plasma spheres, and
Mhm.
and then I have EE coming. But I mean, it's just, I mean, there's so many different modalities, and I think it's really going to change the way and the way people are receiving medical help. And not only that, but there are people out there that are just, they will not wrap their brain around it whatsoever. And I think with the shift in what's happening in this paradigm that we're in right now, that even those people who are totally not thinking this direction whatsoever, it's going to grab them also
It will.
because they're going to see so many people around them. They're going to be hearing about energy medicine. They're going to be hearing about bioscalar or scalar technology. They're going to be hearing
Mhm.
about Tesla. I mean, it's going to be coming at them in so many different ways. They're not
Yeah.
going to have any choice but to
Yeah.
hop on the train.
That's right. And that's really why I kind of split off from the medical industry, because I know this is the future. And being as deep in the medical industry as I am, and I, like I said, build surgery centers, I built hospitals. We just sent two more containers of medical equipment out Friday to start with some more Africa hospitals in Senegal and in Ivory Coast, and we've got another container. So we're trying to help with mortality rates for infants and doing a lot of that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the future, and I want to get out ahead of it, and I want to integrate this in with the medical industry at some point. And even though I'm going to be an outsider, and even though I'm going to deal with a lot of skepticism, and even though I don't care, but it's people like me and you, just grassroots, word of
Mm-hmm.
mouth type of stuff, not based on being able to sit down and talk, highfalutin physics, but basically being able to say, here's some basic core technologies that are in this product, and this is what it's doing for people,
Right,
and you need to use one. That's
right,
enough. That's
right.
enough.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's a different concept for people to grasp. But I think what's going to happen too as we continue to shift in this paradigm is that people are going to um they're going to be exposed to different ways of learning of how this technology works for healing. And I think that's
Hmm.
going to be probably one of the maybe the more challenging things to market, because other than the tangible evidence being how are you feeling, that speaks
Right.
volumes, right?
Hmm.
But for those inquisitive people like myself, okay, I see with my own eyes how my husband is feeling so much better in less than 2 weeks. But for me, the way I think, I have to go out and learn more about what scalar energy is, what are biophotons, um,
Yeah.
who's behind all this tech, like where did it originate? Because that's just me. That fulfills my quest of, my knowledge bank. I just need to add
That's
it
right.
into my knowledge bank.
That's right.
And yeah, it's just amazing. It's good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. And it's so exciting. I mean, I'm sure you've heard, this is the most exciting time to be alive. It really is. It really is
It
to
is.
see
It is.
to be a part of this transition in humanity. It's
It
pretty
really
awesome.
is. Yeah, I
Hmm.
wouldn't have it any other way. And if they said, "Hey, you can go hang out on the beach and just sit in a nice remote spot, or you can dive headfirst into this crazy town," I'm like, well, my nature is I got to go to crazy town because that's where I thrive. That's where I
Yeah.
work and live in my best. And yeah, I'll
Hmm.
find time to get to the beach. Trust me, I'm all about that. But
Right.
when things get really crazy and chaotic, I work in my best, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And so,
Hmm.
honestly, Teresa, it's people like yourself that are out there because, you're out researching the technology, you're learning about the technology, you're on the exact same path that I'm on, because the minute I started
Hmm.
to learn about it, the more I know, the more I want to know, the more I
Hmm.
realize I really don't know that much.
Yeah.
And so, but this is a deep rabbit hole. And when you start getting into this thing, man, I'm telling
Hmm.
you, you will uncover stuff that you'll learn that's like, okay, wow, man, if I thought I knew stuff before, especially now you're getting into those plasma energy spheres, you're talking about an intelligent, mindful energy field
Hmm.
that's basically conscious living energy that you're using, that you're getting into. And you're
Yeah.
seeing this stuff inscribed in hieroglyphics on pyramids in Egypt. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, that's about all I'm going to say right there on that, because that whole thing, I mean, this is a
Yeah.
deep subject, and we're
Yeah.
getting just a taste of some of these technologies that are coming, and there's a lot more coming down the pipeline. And
Hmm.
I've got Dan Winter, who is just, I don't know how to say it other than the guy's a saint, but he's the smartest saint that's probably been out for a while. But, in a lot of the ancient history, some of the smartest people were sort of alchemy people, understood how to manipulate energy, frequency. There's
Hmm.
there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. We're going to have
Yeah.
it on the channel. You're actually going to get your hands on it, and I'm so sorry it's taken so
I'm
long to get to
Oh, that's
you.
okay. I
UPS
can't
is
wait. I
failing me
can't
right
wait.
now.
Yeah.
UPS is driving you and me both crazy, but we're going to get that figured out. But we will circle back again. We will have another conversation. We're going to
Yeah.
follow up with you. Today, we're talking terahertz wands and kind of that, but we're going to circle
Yeah.
back, get some information, and talk about the plasma energy spheres. I want to hear more
Hmm.
about the watches. I want that the frequency for the kidney stones for your dad. I think that's really going to help them.
Yeah.
A lot of really good stuff, and we're getting our hands on some really cool, really Star
Hmm.
Trek type technology.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
let's jump in and let's have some fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so
Yep.
Therese, thank you so much for your time.
Oh.
Feel like I'm part of the family, even though I'm not there in the living room. I
Oh
feel like at
yeah,
least,
you are. You're on speed dial on my phone. I'm like, Sean Callahan, there you are. When I need you, I'll text you, I'll call you. Yeah, I mean, it's great. And it's
it's
so funny
awesome.
because when I talk about these products, like I'll be showing them to people, family members, especially the watches when I get them because I'll have it on. And
Yeah,
but my dad, I'm sure he'll be like, how do I get one of those? So you might be getting a phone call, or
there we
I
go.
already shared your website with him. So and again, it takes time for people to absorb, this
It
is a
does. It
whole new
does.
way. And it's ironic. One more quick thing I'll just throw in there. My dad, before, because I saw him on Sunday, my parents, but on Saturday, he sent me an email that had 4 videos on BitChute that were about med beds. And
Wow.
he never even talked about that before. But so it just made me think, okay, I never mentioned anything to him yet. But here it's like this technology is getting out there more and more.
That's right.
And for
That's
him to
right.
find that and send it to me, it just opened up Pandora's box, and it gave me the opportunity to talk to him about what I'm doing here at my house. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
So,
It's awesome. I love it. And when you start getting into the plasma energy, you get into scalar energy, you start getting into this stuff, you are jumping into med bed type technology.
mhm.
There's a lot of people talking med beds. Trust me, I'm deep into that, and I know a lot about the med bed stuff. But people think, well, I got to wait for these med beds to come out. You really don't. There's people like your
Right.
husband that, yeah, he'd be perfect for a med bed, but get a terahertz wand, get some of this other technology, you're good. By the time the med beds finally do come
Mhm.
out, you won't even need them. You won't
Yeah.
even need them. I've talked
Yeah.
to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and they're like, I'm this and that and da da da. And it's like, I get all that. I get all that. But this right here, for $350 or $500, if you get this now, it's going to reduce those symptoms. It's going to mitigate and address these issues that you've got. You don't have
Mhm.
to wait. I mean, like, get in action now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but that's a whole nother subject. But that will actually tie into the plasma energy spheres because we're talking to people like Dan that really understand what is true medbed technology. What are these? There's a lot of people that are familiar with these programs or these things are working and where they're running them, and they know the physics of what's going on. And we
Mhm.
will address that in future calls. But if you're looking for that
Mhm.
type of technology, it's here right now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
super happy though to hear your father is digging in and finding it because
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
that's when things start getting exciting is when the older
Yeah.
generation of people are saying, wow, I grew up and this is what my reality was for 65, 70, 75 years. And I'm
Mhm.
realizing, like you just said, Pandora's box, there's a much bigger world that's out there that's around me. And
Oh yeah.
I'm like I always say, Therese, I'm late to the party, but at least I'm at the party.
Right, right. Yeah, you're at the party, and yeah, you're celebrating. And if you haven't seen this movie, you should watch it. It came out a few years ago. Hollywood is always giving us little hints of what's
Yeah.
what's to come,
Forecasting.
or
Yeah.
it's called Elysium. Have you seen that?
I have not. Elysium?
Jody Elysium, Elyseum, I believe. But
Yeah.
Jodie Foster is in the movie and Matt Damon. And it's a
Okay.
sci-fi movie, but they have med beds in that movie. And they actually show someone getting in the med bed, doing a scan, and completely healing. I mean, it's just amazing. It
It
just
is.
made me think. Yeah.
You,
That,
you know, it's interesting. Dan has brought that up on that movie many times and talked about the technology in there, and he's addressed it and actually explained exactly what's going on in the movie in physics, like on a chalkboard with the formula, exactly what it is, what it's doing, what that is, what it's working. So when you say they're forecasting and they're starting to present stuff, that's exactly what they're doing. That's how the whole
yeah.
game works.
Yep.
But that's some
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff. I mean, it's really cool
Mm-hmm.
to kind of see where our future is headed.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Great.
all for it, man. I think it's awesome.
I
Well,
can't wait to
Therese,
talk
I
to
could
Dan.
sit here for another 2 hours talking to
I
you, and
know.
if I didn't shut this thing down, we would be.
I
But
know.
thank you so much for your time. I'm going to shut the video down, but stay with me here after I shut it off, and I'll say goodbye. But thanks
Okay.
again for your time. Give my
Yeah.
best to your husband, your son, your family, and
Uh,
hopefully we'll get them on a call. Or if you're out in Virginia or I'm in Ohio, we'll all go out to dinner together.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds perfect.
All right,
Thanks
Therese.
so
Thank you
much,
so much.
John.
All right, we'll
Okay.
talk to you again soon.
Okay.